Hi, my name is Anna Burton, and this is my Cultural Solutions project. I chose Vietnam and the alcohol and drinking culture there. I chose this country and this topic because I am not culture competent in this culture, and I was interested in the health challenges that they face. Alcohol and drinking culture in Vietnam is becoming more of a public health concern as it is rapidly increasing. Not only do people in Vietnam go out and purchase alcohol, but they also make pure alcohol in their own homes. In 2007, private homes produced about 250 million liters of pure alcohol annually. In this way, the alcohol consumption rate is being underestimated since alcohol made in private homes is not being accounted for. From 2003 to 2005 and from 2008 to 2010, pure alcohol consumption by adults has increased from 3.8 liters to 6.6 liters of pure alcohol. This is worrisome since the global rate of alcohol consumption is only 6.2 liters. It is also more common for men to drink than women to drink alcohol. The culture in Vietnam relates drinking to a sense of masculinity, so drinking will enhance your gender of being a man. An article I read listed a common quote that Vietnamese men say. It goes, "A man without spirits is a flag without wind." The use of alcohol impairs your physical and your mental function, which means that there are risks associated with this use if not done properly. There are significant risks associated with Vietnamese drinking culture since they drink more than the global average of 6.2 liters of pure alcohol. An article about the implications of drinking in Vietnam indicated that social and public health harms are associated with alcohol use are on the rise in Vietnam. It has also become linked to contributing to the rise of chronic diseases as well as other negative health outcomes. These other negative health outcomes include drinking and driving, traffic crashes, injuries, intimate partner violence, risky sexual behavior. From 2000 to 2008, there have been 159 cases of poisoning by contaminated alcohol, which were reported, and that led to a case fatality rate of 21.4%. Not only is alcohol use in adults in Vietnam a problem, but it is also becoming a problem in adolescents in Vietnam. Recent research has shown that alcohol use in adolescents is rising. In a survey done between ages 14 to 17 years old, 47.5% have reported ever finishing an alcoholic beverage, while 30.8% have reported being drunk. It has also been found that adolescent men are more likely to drink than adolescent females. Linked to adolescent drinking has been parental absence. Children are more likely to engage in drinking behaviors when parents are not around, and it increases the engagement in risky behaviors. This problem needs to be addressed since alcohol can have a negative impact on brain function and can also impair your mental state. People tend to be unaware of the negative impacts of their drinking behaviors. Alcohol use and intoxication in the Vietnamese society are expected, normalized, and sanctioned behaviors among male youth and adults. Perceptions of dangerous behaviors associated with alcohol use are also very low. This is an important reason to implement an educational program in order to increase the perceived risks of drinking behavior. Research has shown that there is an underdiagnosis of problematic alcohol use in the health sector in Vietnam. Another red flag in Vietnamese drinking culture is that drinking and driving is widely represented among these people and is extremely common. Reasons for this include the lack of adequate public transportation and failure to translate risk perception into these safe practices. Policymakers are mostly to blame for this behavior since they do not attribute public health concerns to alcohol use. Such public health concerns include intimate partner violence and accidents caused by binge drinking. The program that I believe to be a solution in the drinking problem associated with the culture of Vietnam is called Reducing Alcohol Impact in Vietnam. It is important to note that the title does not include reducing the number of people drinking or the percentage of people that drink, but reducing the number of negative impacts that alcohol can have if not done in a smart manner. This is important because it focuses on education and also health behavior change. Through this program, we will implement education, safe practices, and interventions that includes hands-on learning. Through getting feedback from Vietnamese people, we will be able to approach each person from a different angle based on the trans-theoretical model of change. These stages include pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance phase. Educational and informational meetings will be implemented by public health professionals in Vietnamese business office and also in public and private schools. These seminars include information on the negative impacts of alcohol, the dangers associated with drinking and driving, risk of accidents, self-harm, and statistics of drinking culture in Vietnam. It is important to relay facts and statistics in order to get the point across that there are deaths associated with these types of behaviors, and the only way to combat these injuries and deaths is to be safer. A pre- and post-assessment will be administered before and after the seminars in order to measure how much was learned during these informational meetings. This will give us feedback as to what should be fixed during future programs. A drinking and driving simulation will also be provided for children and adults to see how much alcohol impacts operation of motor vehicles. Part of the program that I believe to be a solution in the drinking problem associated with the culture of Vietnam is called Reducing Alcohol Impact in Vietnam. It is important to note that the title does not include reducing the number of people drinking or the percentage of people that drink, but reducing the number of negative impacts that alcohol can have if not done in a smart manner. This is important because it focuses on education and also health behavior change. Through this program, we will implement education, safe practices, and interventions that includes hands-on learning. Through getting feedback from Vietnamese people, we will be able to approach each person from a different angle based on the trans-theoretical model of change. These stages include pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance phase. The first goal is that by January 1st, 2022, after implementing the program Reducing Alcohol Impacts in Vietnam, the percentage of alcohol-related incidents among adults will decrease by 15%. Our objective associated with this goal is that upon completing and attending the alcohol-related seminars during work hours, knowledge of unsafe alcohol-related behaviors will increase by 30%. And this will be measured by a pre- and post-assessment administered on paper. The second goal of this program is that by January 1st, 2022, after implementing the program Reducing Alcohol Impacts in Vietnam, the percentage of alcohol-related incidents among adolescents will decrease by 10%. The objective associated with this goal is that upon attending the alcohol-related seminars during school hours, knowledge of unsafe alcohol-related behaviors will increase by 30%. This will also be measured by a pre- and post-assessment administered on paper. The last goal that we have implemented is that by January 1st, 2022, the rates of drinking and driving will decrease by 20% in Vietnam among adolescents and adults. Our objective that matches with this goal is that upon completing the drinking and driving simulation, both adults and children's knowledge of the risk of drinking and driving will increase by 30%. And this will be measured by a pre- and post-assessment administered before and after the drinking and driving simulation. All of these goals and objectives are examples of SMART goals. The way that they are SMART goals is that they are specific to a certain population, the adolescents and the adults in Vietnam. They are measurable by a percentage. They are attainable by their semi-small percentage, realistic as we use an educational-based strategy, and timely as we have a goal to accomplish by a certain date, which is January 1st, 2022, for all goals and objectives. It is important to develop SMART goals as they are specific in nature and have guidelines to be followed. They are also able to be measured specifically so that we can potentially change them in the future. Thanks to the Liberty Health Mission Board, we are starting our budget at $10,000. We aim not to use that much, as unexpected costs are possible, and as well as underestimating costs could be possible in ranging some of the costs of some of our items. Our costs are in two separate categories. The first in work settings and the second in school settings, as both of our goals and objectives align with adults and children as well. The setup and costs should be similar in both settings, but we need to double the amount of supplies and public health professionals needed for each setting. The most important feature that we use in the program is the education aspect brought to us by the public health educator professionals. These professionals will have their master's degree in public health education and will be 100% culturally competent and will be able to speak Vietnamese. In measuring the outcome of the proposed program, we will need specific evidence that the program was successful or unsuccessful. There are many ways we can do this, and in this program we use a pre- and post-assessment that will be administered before the seminars in schools and in the workplace as one afterwards. There will also be a pre and post assessment administered before and after the drinking and driving simulation. Questions asked during the pre and post test include the statistics of drinking in Vietnam, as well as the statistics that have to do with alcohol-induced injuries, deaths, and dangers associated with it. Short answer questions will also be asked, such as, why do you choose to drink? And they will be asked if their culture has any influence over their drinking habits. Evaluating the success or failure of the program is important because it gives us suggestions on areas we need to improve or remove. It is able to give us great feedback about making the program better and impact the behavior of people more effectively. These are the references that I used in order to display the drinking culture statistics among Vietnamese. Thank you for listening to the Solution Program to the Problem to help reduce the alcohol impact in Vietnam.